Standard webinar. We are delighted to have you all here this afternoon, and I will first share our topics and speakers for today. My name is Lotta Koskimies and I work with the marketing for the BT Standard and Business Technology Forum. And let's have first a look at our agenda for today. This session will be recorded, so you will be able to return to these topics also after this session. This is one of our monthly Wednesday webinars, and today we have the latest release notes that we will be going through. But first, we will start with the president of the Business Technology Forum, Katri Kolesnik, who will go through the Business Technology Standard community news, talk about our ambitions, mission, and the recent public sector collaboration that we are working with. Then we will have a look at the human-centered planning. What's that as a method and what's the purpose? What we gain when we focus on human centricity with the planning. And this we will hear from Menno Huiven, who is a senior executive for the Business Technology Forum. Then we will finalize with the roles and skills. So we will have a look at how the Business Technology Standard roles actually map together with the Sphere 8 skills. And that we will hear from Elena van Lemput, who works as the Chief Technology Officer for Business Technology Forum. So this is our program for the coming hour. And Katri, I see that you are joining us already. How is the weather like in Lappeenranta, where you are joining this afternoon?
Yes, good afternoon to everybody from the Eastern Finland. I started off from Espoo, from the capital area, where it was nice, sunny summer day, as I believe it still continued. And all of a sudden, 200 kilometers to the east, it's raining and looks like it's October instead of June. But it's summer anyhow, so that's how it looks like.
You look like you have a nice sun shining on your face, so you may take the summer stage.
Yes. All right, thank you very much, Lotta, and I'm very pleased to be here with you for this Wednesday webinar for June. And as always, we intend to share the latest of what's been happening within the Business Technology Forum, within the community, and also what we've been working with for the Business Technology Standard. And I wanted to take this opportunity now maybe to discuss briefly to kind of the new areas we've been reaching out now with the Business Technology Standard development. And I will just take over quickly from Lotta's screen right now. Here we go. And go through some basic points and maybe to start with, for those especially who may have not been involved with this Business Technology Standard before or forum before, so a couple of words who we are and what we do. So this is an open community available for anybody to join in. So as you are actually there, either watching the webinar now or later on as we record this, you are part of the community without any more registrations. And to keep up what's happening within the community, I would recommend you to either receive or sign up for the newsletters or also follow us in LinkedIn so you know what's going on. And the basic point here is to say that this is really for everybody. And now that I had a brief look at the participation list, I see that there are people from public sector joining us. There are people who work at the vendor side, so making the commercial use of the BT standard. And then there are organizations that themselves are using the standard and deploying the models in the standard. And also there are educational institutes who use the BT standard for teaching, for instance. So various different kinds of uses for the standard, and really the standard is meant for everybody. A couple of words about the background. So this is co-created with the leading Nordic organizations, meaning both public and private sector organizations and companies have been involved in developing the model. Our sort of official development partners are King's College London and Aalto University, who already before we publish anything can review what we have done, the development that has been done, and can comment on it. And all the development, all the materials is available as open source. And I'm actually in the end of the presentation, I'm gonna talk a bit about the open framework license that we just updated to make it hopefully more clear for everybody how to use the BT standard. As Lotta told you, there are some things that we've been doing during the past year, actually, and working closely together with cities and being involved in developing the sort of city-specific addition to the BT standard. And even if what we've been developing has been mainly for the cities and for the urban development, it actually is something that can be used also by universities and even by the private sector actors as well. So the addition that we have done is actually that we have extended the scope of the model to cover also the non-technical parts, and that means that we actually have extended the model to cover the whole development of a city. So how do you steer the development of the city, and especially when you have to take into account the requirements that all the cities are facing today. So they need to think of how to do the urban development in a sustainable way, and how to come up with innovations, and how to steer the ecosystem of actors actually contributing to the development of the city. And of course, carbon neutrality being a really big topic in the cities. So how can you ensure and enhance all the activities that would add into or would enable the cities to become carbon neutral? A lot to do with smart city solutions, finding new innovations, how to facilitate those innovation processes, and also transform the city and how cities work, and especially in terms of building the services that the city is providing or is organizing for the citizens, so that they are really human-centered. And therefore, this human-centered design has become, in a way, in the center of the development and the start of the all development. And that's why in this release of the BT standard that you are going to hear today, we have focused on these models on how to do the human-centered design. So all in all, the whole way how we develop the model is this, so that there is a development community, but as I said, whoever there can actually be part of this development community, but just raising your hands and saying that, hey, we actually are missing this type of a model, and we can go create then that type of a model for the BT standard together. And as these models are then developed with any actors, cities, private or public sector organizations, then the BT Forum actually makes out of that organization-specific model into a model that suits for everybody. And then again, whoever then wants to deploy that model, they can take it into use. And then if wanting to do that, they can give feedback and actually contribute to the development of the model further. So this is our way of keeping the model evergreen. So as for how can you be part of, if you want to be part of, or it's just the development or use the model. So there are a couple of ways, and we have now created or updated some of those. So first of all, the Green Card certification, which is a kind of basic level certification that more or less tests how aligned you are with the thinking of the BT model, BT standard. So that's for free, at least until the end of the year. So anybody wanting to take this Green Card certification can just contact us at info@btforum.org and order the test. So just going to the website that I'm gonna show you later on, because that has been renewed as well. So go to there, download the PDF, for instance, and read it, and then you can take the exam. Then we have also added posters. So the posters are representing the extension materials that is quite extensive. So the posters give highlight of what the actual extension deck consists of, and you can have an idea about it. And if you think that those models that are there could be suitable for you in your own work or for your organization, or you want to use them for commercial purposes, so you can get access to them by just joining us in our Malaga Training Center and taking the BT Standard Practitioner course. If you prefer then on-site training somewhere else or online, so just please contact us and we will see how to do it. And our aim with this course is actually just to let you know and give sort of build the understanding what is there and what is the kind of ideas behind all those models and how to best utilize them. As I said in the beginning, they are open source, so available for use as they are then presented. Then, as said, we have done a lot of development activities and lately, namely with the cities. And so far we have been developing this the sort of city-specific models together with Finnish cities, Turku and Espoo, to name a few, and therefore have then added quite a lot of material which concerns the cities. And now we are hoping that we find either partners or even the city representatives outside of Finland that we could then adapt these newly developed models. So maybe there are some possibilities within the EU programs. So if you represent that kind of partner or you are a public organization in the EU area, so maybe that could be something that we could jointly do. However, if you are listening to us as a deployer organization or individual, so here is just to couple of words how you can actually utilize the model. So you have the two options. So first of all, yes, of course, read it and maybe take the pre-CAR certification so you know what is it all about. Then you can do the self-deployment, meaning that you build your understanding, take the certification part that I'm gonna go through in a moment, and learn how to use it, what is in there, and learn the best practices of deploying the model, and then just start the implementing the model, and then maybe train your organization, and therefore you can do all the deployment of the model on your own. Or if you prefer that the sort of the design of the model is not exactly what you want to do, or the adaptation of the BT standard to your organization is something you'd prefer not to do, but actually use the adaptive model in your organization, you can then use this assisted deployment that our implementation partner can help you with. Currently, we have two implementation partners, Sofigate in the Nordic area and Xonetic in the UK, who have been certified to have the adequate competence to do the deployment and implementation of the BT standard. If you are a partner and interested now becoming a certified partner to BT standard in your territory, so please contact us. We are currently looking for new partners in the ecosystem. And there is the LinkedIn. That is the way actually you best can keep up with what's happening and what are the latest updates. So I kindly encourage you to follow us in LinkedIn to stay in touch and be and know what's happening. Briefly about the BT standard certification training. So as I already went through, there's the BT standard green card level, which consists of 50 multiple choice questions that you can take within 1 hour. And the whole point is really see maybe yourself how much your thinking is already aligned with the BT standard, and hopefully learn also more through taking this exam. Then there is a BT standard practitioner course, which then gives you an overview of all the extension materials that are available within the BT standard. I would say that there is approximately 1,000 pages worth of materials as a library to the BT standard, and those materials you can access to them after taking the BT standard practitioner course and certification test. And then you will get the PDF versions of the material, so therefore the use is as without major modifications. Then if you are interested in really deploying and adapting the model and adjusting the model better to suit to your organization purposes, then we recommend taking the designer course, which takes you through what are the best ways of deploying and adapting the model. And all the courses are available. I will at the end show you where you can sign up to those courses as well. Right, so maybe to end up with my part here, that maybe if somebody's still thinking that why we have decided to have this open as an open source model. So here are the couple of reasons why since the beginning or the start of the of developing the model about 11 years ago, we wanted to make it open source. So the first of all, this is our way to keep it constantly up to date. We receive now feedback from everybody. We can hear what works, what not. We are doing it together with the large ecosystem, so we know then we can easily see and adjust the model to make sure that it's up to date and relevant to today's needs. If you then are an organization that wants to take this type of model in use, so actually you will know by taking the BT standard that it has been proven to work in a similar organization that yourself. You can then have references, you can discuss with the community and ask their feelings and sort of experience with the model, and then be sure what you can do with the model. And of course, you can yourself contribute to the development if you want, and influence on how the model gets evolved. Then the third part being that this is what we believe really, that digital economy belongs to all, and everybody should have the similar opportunities to fully utilize the opportunities given by the digitalization. And making this open model open source, this gives a fair chance to everybody to have a chance to make most out of digitalization. So that was a brief kind of update what has been going on and what the BT standard today is and what is our mission and goals.
Thank you, Katri. So this really encompasses the BT Forum's mission to advance a fair, competitive digital economy for everyone. So you can do it by yourself. You will find all the posters you can see behind Katri and myself. Those are downloadables from the new website, and or then you can seek for partners and training if you want to dive deeper into the topic. But maybe then, Katri, you may step aside and we will invite Menno Huiven and start to discuss about the human-centered planning, which is really the latest addition to the standard. So Menno, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Hello, everybody. At the moment, I'm here sharing my screen. It's multitasking. Hello. My name is Menno Huiven, and I'm very happy to announce and tell you about the human-centered planning. It's a new extension we made for the Business Technology Forum for the standard, and we made an article, and that article is actually now also available for download. So
we will share the link for that after the session. But maybe you can start by sharing why have we started to develop the methodology for human-centered development?
Yeah, I think it's best to explain it probably with this picture, because this is kind of the big picture on how to create value or how to create well-being. So you can read the picture from left right. So of course you start with the enterprise strategy on the enterprise level, or like cities, like Katri was telling that you have been working with Espoo and Turku cities, where it's also strategy sets and budgeting defined. And then you can go to the other side where is the end users, the employees, the citizens, the customers who are consuming those services, and where you also then kind of collect the feedback and the insights of what's really going on. So this is the kind of the end-to-end picture when you can ping pong in there, and then you on the left side you can go according to the business technology standard on the value stream level, where you can kind of govern development by setting the mission of what are we going to develop and set the portfolio in order to plan and deliver the services required. But then you can zoom in kind of on the middle there with this development collective. And this is where it kind of comes together, where we talk now about human-centered planning. If I give an example, because nowadays demand is also what all happen in society, all kind of phenomena, trends where companies or cities have to deal with. To take the example that now during the COVID crisis, there is now this big resignation, big reshuffle going on. People rethink what is the meaning of life, and start to change job. So that's something that an organization has to deal with. So it's kind of picked up on the right side, some insights, some data. People are resigning, something we need to do. On the other side, it goes into the strategy process. Okay, it might be that we set up some kind of value stream on how to improve employee experience. But then we need to get more concrete, so to kind of crystallize the demands and really kind of understand the context of what is happening and what should we be doing. And with a topic like that, it's also very much cross-organizational, and you need to involve all the stakeholders in the planning activity. So that's why we have started to talk about human-centered planning.
Okay, and so here you mentioned that we focus on the middle part of
Yes.
this picture, so the development collective, and what's the development vision and roadmaps and the
Absolutely.
aggregated impact, and
Yes.
and then the benefit tracking.
Yes.
Okay, good. And if that's the big picture, then what is the human-centered development methodology actually about?
Yeah, I can show it perhaps on the next slide. So it's kind of, let's call it complementary to the more enterprise architectural formal approach, but we came up with this way. So this is really the type of method you can apply when the demand is not so clear. So it's about social phenomena, some social trends, which you try to grasp what it really is about. And the human-centeredness is really that the stakeholder group, or the people, or the community, the citizens who it concerns should be kind of integrated part of the whole planning process. So they should be visible in the process and participating in there. So that's one thing. The other thing is also the human-centeredness is about that the whole methodology being used is also kind of human-sized and simple, so that it can also involve people without formal education on how to do data modeling and all that type of stuff, so they can kind of also contribute, because the methodology used is simple enough to encourage people to contribute. And by that also, the concepts coming out there, they also should be then kind of human-sized, that it's easy to turn into concrete activities and things you can develop. And last is also that it's a methodology that also, because we have far more capabilities to collect data about human behavior, what's going on, and all this data analytics. So also kind of a methodology that brings into account this capability to take data points into the planning process. We have formalized the method, as you can see a bit in the colors of the PT standard forum. So there are three iteration cycles we are proposing here. So the first is kind of the insightful planning, and then the evaluating planning, and then the feedback-based design. But perhaps I can show it on one more detailed slide where we go.
Yes, let's have a look at that.
So here you can see the three iteration cycles we have been defining. So especially the first one is important. So this is what we think also where a development collective, so a group of stakeholders, experts that are empowered to do it. try to grasp what the topic is really about, what is the demand about. So if you take this example of employee experience, so they would somehow think about one topic related to that and try to define really what is the context, what is going on, the dynamics, who is doing what, and articulate the development vision. And so to get also to decision making, because what is important also is this methodology that it encourages fast and decision making. That's also the time to value can be reduced. That you don't keep on planning and planning and planning, but that you have a method that also delivers clear decision points, and decisions shall we go on or not. And this is what those 3 iteration cycles are here.
Good. So you mentioned that we aim at keeping the end users or the customers
Absolutely.
at the very center of this
Yes.
development, and trying to keep it, what you said, human size.
Yeah.
Yes, so that it doesn't
It still fits in
prevent
everybody's
people
brains.
from engaging and being involved in the process.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then that it helps also to understand the human behavior,
Yeah.
since we have these trends coming up, like you pointed out, for example, a lot of resignations or people changing companies and other social changes or trends and phenomena that impact the need.
Yeah, exactly. That, yeah.
What does it look like then when we proceed with the planning? How does it?
I have an example, and then if you really do have a look at the article, because the example is worked out even further. So we in the article we describe all the activities, all the 10 planning activities involved, and there we take this example of this employee experience. So if you take that this is now the next step, so we have a value stream that thinks, okay, we need to improve employee experience, but then it has been decided, okay, set up a development collective around the topic of employee lifecycle management. How can we improve that? How can we ensure that people get quickly onboarded in the organization, and also stay in the company and go in a formal way also out of the company? So there you can see how the first step could look like. So you would define the context in, for example, this model. You kind of in a simple fashion start to collect what is all related to it. So this type of modeling also is very easy to facilitate in a few-hour workshop session with the right stakeholders, and you get the kind of first grip on what is this all about. By that you can also start already to define scope and prioritization, that what is the most important part, where are we good at, where are we not so good at. The next step would be also to identify a bit on the right side here different dynamics, that what is really going on there. Can we find some end-to-end process, or is there something that really belongs together that we can start with? So in the example, we decide now, okay, this lead time to onboarding new talent is very important for us, so let's focus on that one. And then you can also see that you can kind of bring it into visual pictures that perhaps helps also decision making, that you have to bring it to a steering committee and decide, okay, this is why we want to do this and not that, and let's focus on this one. And then you can also set the development vision, so it becomes kind of more concrete, and then it can go forward in more procedural ways of planning and designing on how to address those topics.
Good. So you actually gain a rather comprehensive overview also here about the aspects to your process.
Yeah.
And how does this, you mentioned in the beginning that this is also linked to architecture. So can you open up that a bit?
Yeah, yes. So as you know, if you hopefully you have read the business technology standards, so there actually this we have defined in the demand area, so the red one going down, 4 types of demands. So capability planning is one of them, and we very closely related to there is this enterprise architecture approach, which is formalized in the standard already. And that is still very relevant. So this is not anyhow in a way saying that it is not relevant anymore, but this human-centered planning is kind of complementary. I mean, it can be that you have a demand which is so vague that you really need to crystallize and really understand what it's all about before you can go into this this enterprise planning. But it might be also the other way around, that you think that, okay, we start planning, but then you halfway notice that you actually do not really realize what's the whole context or how the human factor is important to there. So then you can kind of jump back to this approach to get the human touch on the on the activity. So they're kind of complementary, and you can kind of course decide when to move to which one. But we saw that now important is we have now also learned with our new cases, like Katri said, with working with cities and that the human-centeredness is really getting more and more important. So that's why we wanted to stress this in the standard.
So let me see if I got that right. So that human-centered capability planning is actually what we are talking about, yes. And it can be used when the demand originates from a social phenomenon or a trend, and that we need to develop new capabilities and also identify at the same time what those capabilities actually are.
I think give still a few more examples. So we talked about this employee experience and the big resignation, but you can also say companies need to deal with sustainability, and sustainability is also kind of quite an abstract thing. So how to get your hands around it. It's not some topic that you can immediately involve enterprise architects to start to define our requirements. So it needs more cross-organizational planning, involvement of more stakeholders before you really can crystallize, okay, this is what we're going to do about it. Or companies nowadays with the whole supply chain, there is a lot of reorganizing the supply chain because of the big global issues. It's just a huge topic that might require also involvement of many people. And by this methodology, we also promote it. It's kind of easier than to involve the right stakeholders and to get their standpoints and views on crystallizing what to do about it and what capabilities are required.
Thank you. That was very interesting. And maybe from there we actually get a nice bridge to the next topic, because like you mentioned, for example, the sustainability and the capabilities. So what are the then roles and responsibilities and skills that we need to develop in order to have the capabilities that we need to respond to these different social phenomenon or trends?
Yeah,
so thank you so much, Menno. And then I would like to welcome Elena van Lemput. Hi, Elena.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you, Lotta. And very nice to be here with you today. And so this is a very good opportunity to now highlight the different changes that has been also updated alongside what we have done there. As you see, what Menno mentioned about the human-centered planning methodology, and because of that, we also, of course, have to be consistent with the different parts of the model. And what I would like to highlight to you today is the roles and responsibility model, which is telling us about the different roles the BT standard has. So I think everyone knows this picture already. It's a very famous picture in the model itself. And here we have actually done some changes to be able to be more consistent with what we're doing at the moment and the trends and so on. For example, here in the model, I don't know if you remember, but we used to call this differently, and it used to be called enterprise development. And now we have renamed it somewhat to be a little bit more consistent also with the development in the cities and so on. So now this middle part, the development part, has been named business and process development, and then the one under it has been renamed to product and service development. And anyway, these are all very, very consistent with the development methodologies that Business Technology Standard has, because we recognize the first one to be more project-based, and then the second one to be a bit more faster paced and incremental and so on. So this
maybe Elena, if there is someone who is viewing this for the first time, would you open up what are the gray boxes, and what are the colored boxes, so that we can get
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The basically business technology standard roles here, or this role identity map, is about the 5 different identities. So you see that the black boxes represent the 5 different identities, and we have the different colors also, and they represent the different disciplines. So for example, the red one is the demand discipline, and they belong to the business excellence identity. And then we have the development identity there, which 2 identities now named business and process development, as well as the product and service development. And then of course we have the governance, which consists of the purple roles there, and then the blue ones, which are the sourcing and optimization roles. And then we have the orange one, which belongs to the service excellence identities. But this is something that you can read from our website as well. And I would like to highlight other things that we have essentially updated here. For example, we have now, since there are a lot of roles, and understandably a little bit like confusing as well, but we have now defined sort of the role types to make it easier for you to understand the different types of roles. So here we are talking about different 3 role types only, and this has been as well updated in the material. And we're talking about first the orchestrators, and these are the roles responsible for organizing the development top down. So it's important to know, and they are actually responsible for example, a discipline or a practice. And as you can see, these could be chief or officer role types. So those are good to remember. If, for example, a chief enterprise architect would belong to this orchestrator role. And then we have also something called an owner role. And this type of role essentially owns something like a business product or a process, function, or service, but they have end-to-end responsibility. So they go horizontally through all the disciplines, and they are called the owner roles. And these roles could be, for example, a product owner, a business owner, and so on. And then there's a third type of role, and this type is then what we call the implementers. And those are typically the managers or the leads or experts. So project managers, for example, Scrum Master would also fall into this category. And they basically have the methodology, know-how, and the practice to take the certain initiatives through one process to another. And they are helping essentially the owners to make value out of whatever initiative they're developing. So that's the 3 different roles, very concise and very quickly, and they are essentially giving us an idea about how we sort of want to remember the different roles, because we do have like more than 70 roles in the business technology standard at the moment, which I know is a lot. Then if we also take into account, out of popularity request, we have also added diversity into the role deck. And this you will find inside the role identity deck, which is a set of maybe 80 pages of a slide set, which essentially gives us, describes each role, each of their responsibilities, and what they do in the capability map. And here, what we have done is given the avatars some diversity. So you may be able to allocate the roles a little bit more conveniently into the organization or whatever you're working on. Right. And then to the messy slide. I know the slides look a little bit complicated, but essentially a few months ago, SFIA Foundation, who is the owner of the SFIA framework, which is a global competence, skills, and so on, have updated to SFIA 8. And as you noticed, that BT standard we only have roles and we don't have like particular skills, but we have essentially taken this SFIA framework into use. And with that, we are able to also give the skills, different types of skills to the roles that we are essentially introducing. So each of the roles will have, you will see that there are like 8 different skills. And if I can actually, I'm not sure if you see, do you see my mouse here, Lotta? Yeah. So here we are describing 2 core skills, 2 supporting skills, and 2 enabling skills. So this type of what you call this table, you will be able to see in each of the role cards that we have defined for the roles. Now, behind this huge chart, we have actually done a mapping for the BT standard roles as well. So on top, these are, you don't have to read this, I'm just trying to explain what is inside that sort of Excel mapping sheet. So on the top, we define all the different roles, the key roles in business technology standard. And then on the left side, you will see the different skills, essentially what is available and updated for SFIA 8. And in between are mappings for these A, core skills, B, supporting skills, and enabling skills. And we also have something called the X's here. And X marks essentially those additional skills that a role may have. And of course, it also has tracking, so you can see how many skills are needed for each roles and so on. And why this is interesting is, for example, when you're doing any mapping of the BT standard roles into your own organization, the skills will allow you to essentially recognize what type of responsibilities and tasks a certain role has and be able to map the role to BT standard that way, if you're using the SFIA or anything that is related to SFIA roles. Okay, so Lotta, that was essentially my part. Do we have any questions from anyone?
Highlighting just that even though the SFIA is an open framework and anyone can use it, it is still required. It requires registration for anyone to do it. But then if you are interested in utilizing that, it is really accessible, just like the business technology standard is.
Yeah, it's actually licensed, but they have it's free to use in that sense with some minimal fees. So they're also a not-for-profit company organization. Yes, but that was the highlights from my part. So thank you.
Thank you, Elena. And so this extensive chart here on the upper right corner, really, if you're thinking about, we have these roles and what skills should these roles actually have. So this is the perfect match for anyone really enjoying the mapping and being specific with those definitions. So really helpful for that purpose. But I think now we are closing towards the end, except Katri, maybe you have still something to show from the updated website. Was that so?
Yes, I wanted to just give you a highlight of what is there and maybe give you reasons behind why we did some of the changes. So here we go. First of all, we actually made it a bit more clear that this is that the BT standard website is actually the book itself. That's the main content. That's what we want to have, like the first thing available for you. If you need anything, you can just go there and directly you access the actual model. And sometimes we've seen by following how people are browsing on for the first time when they enter, that it was not clear that these actual are the links to the book articles or chapters, so that we made it more visible that these all are parts of the actual framework or the model, and it's easy to then go anywhere by just clicking them. So hoping that helps with the browsing. Also, well, we have the tabs and they remain pretty much the same. The main models being the capability model that you see here, the operating model, and there are also the links to the actual book or model, whichever way you want to call it, as well as the roles and responsibilities. Here in the overview, we wanted to just give you a highlight of who we are, what the community is all about. So those this is the kind of layout update. Also, well, concerning here now, you can see that we have this one button over here that opens up additional sort of materials or articles that are there. So first of all, there is the downloads where you can actually have those posters that you see behind myself and Lotta over there that are then sort of contains the main kind of frameworks and models related to each extension deck. So that is something you might just want to, you know, take out, maybe even print, you know, a few and put somewhere. So this is a nice communication materials where when you want to talk to others about what BT standard has. So those all are there, and you can just take them and use them as you please. Also then, well, the news and articles are there, and now the aforementioned article about the human-centered capability planning is there, and you can then download that article. And just couple of words about the articles. They are sort of part of the standard, but they are not put in the actual book yet. We might do that later, but sometimes these articles that we have lately been developing, they contain quite a lot of information, and that would make the original BT standard quite thick. So this is the way also to deepen the content and the information and concentrate on certain specific area. So those are all there available by there. And all these webinars, the one you are hearing now, are listening now, and the previous ones, you can then access them here through the webinar links. Then some things about the community and maybe some videos over there that you can look at to know more who's been involved in developing the models and so forth. And then the new thing here is the training side. So now we have brought all the BT standard related certification training course in one site over here. And as you see, there are several practitioner courses. There is always a designer course for a certain topic once a month. So depending on where you want to start with, do you want to start by deploying the operating model or adapting the operating model, or do you want to start by seeing the development methodologies, or maybe data governance is the part where you start with? You can choose where you can where you want to start with when you deploy the BT standard, but then you can access the relevant course that gives you the right materials and the know-how actually on how you could best then deploy and adapt the BT standard to your organization. The process was that, yes, the BT green card is first level requirement to then take the practitioner course and certification, and then take the designer course. And so far, our training center is in Malaga, Spain. So I think that was more or less what I wanted to tell you about the new look and feel of the website. I hope you enjoy it and maybe find some new things also to it.
Yes, thanks for the presentation. It's looking really good to me, at least, and nice also to hear about these training opportunities and the showrooms that were on the first page where you shared some of the recent events. So those are quite good things also with the team, for example, to get people together. I know there have been courses running the whole spring, almost every week in Malaga, that teams are attending together to get a nice boost to what we are doing, or then visiting management teams, visiting the showroom here in Espoo to get a big picture of what the BT standard actually enables and what it provides.
Yeah, and actually to add to that, we are building another showroom now in Stockholm, and yes, there is like a constant showroom in Malaga, Spain, and planning another one in Madrid actually. But yeah, those are the things that we are planning to do in more countries as well.
But this was all for our Wednesday webinar this time. Here still a recap on how to engage with us. Easiest way to follow us on LinkedIn, and then you get the latest news and topics and advice and insights through that. But then if you wish to For example, take advantage of the green card certification, which is free of charge for the community, or develop and engage. So please contact us at any time at info@btforum.org. Thank you so much for joining this webinar, and thank you our panelists Katri, Elena and Menno as well. Looking forward to the next webinar. Now we come for the summer break soon, but then we will continue later on. Elena, you want to still add something?
No, sorry, that was a mistake. Thank you, everyone.
High
Sorry,
five to
yeah.
everyone, like see you around. Okay, but thank you so much for joining, and have a really nice summer, everyone.
Thank you. Let's keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.